Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast with Arlene Washburn, the show where love industry professionals, coaches, and matchmakers come to learn, grow, and elevate their craft. Each episode dives deep into the art and business of matchmaking, featuring expert insights, real-world strategies, and inspiring conversations designed to help you create meaningful connections and lasting success. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your journey, this is your space to be mentored, motivated, and moved to make a difference in the world of love. Now here's your host, Arlene Washburn.
Pricing is not marketing, it's risk management. Welcome back to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. Today we are talking about pricing, and I want to be very clear from the start. Pricing in professional matchmaking is a risk management decision, not a branding exercise, not a statement of personal worth. The number you charge determines who hires you, what they believe they purchased, how much explanation they expect, how disputes unfold, and how exposed your business becomes. Most matchmakers ask, what should I charge? Professionals ask, what does the price require my business to sustain? That distinction separates hobby practices from professional operations. Matchmakers often think of pricing as a reflection of effort and expertise. Clients experience pricing very differently. At higher price points, clients tend to be less demanding day to day. They make fewer calls, expect clearer boundaries, and engage more selectively. That reduction in noise is real. What changes at higher pricing is not constant scrutiny, but assumed professionalism. Clients expect systems to exist, decisions to be grounded, and processes to be defensible without explanation. Lower pricing creates more operational friction. Higher pricing creates higher structural expectations. The risk is not in the number of client interactions. The risk is in whether your business can withstand scrutiny when expectations are challenged. That is why pricing remains a risk decision even when the day-to-day work feels easier. What actually goes into professional pricing? This is the training most matchmakers never receive. Professional pricing is not aspirational, it is input-based. For example, direct business expenses. Professional matchmaking carries real costs, even for solo operators. Common expenses include CRM or secure client platforms, encrypted portals or databases, background check services, marketing and lead acquisition, legal review, accounting, insurance, and secure communication tools. If pricing does not absorb these costs, the business subsidizes clients at the expense of sustainability. Also, referral fees. They are not bonuses, they are structural expenses. Many matchmakers pay referral partners, share fees, and networks, or compensate recruiters and introducers. When referral fees range from 10 to 30%, that must be built into pricing. Ignoring referral fees erodes profit quickly. Professional matchmaking requires continuous investment. Responsible operators allocate funds for ongoing training, legal updates, ethical education, industry conferences, and operational development. A business that cannot afford education cannot responsibly justify premium prices. Accreditation and professional standards. Maintaining professional standards has a cost, whether through accreditation, audits, documentation reviews, or policy updates. Pricing must support alignment with current professional and operational expectations. Credibility requires maintenance, database infrastructure, and data costs. Not all databases are created equal. Costs vary based on size, security, privacy requirements, international reach, and verification layers. Some matchmakers rely on basic spreadsheets. Others maintain secure proprietary database with encryption and verification. Premium pricing requires infrastructure that supports it. Time investment. Time includes far more than hours worked. Time includes intake, screening, recruiting, coordination, documentation, communication, emotional labor, and recovery time. Pricing must reflect average client load, not ideal clients. Cognitive load and emotional labor. This should be included because cognitive load includes decision fatigue, emotional containment, expectation management, conflict navigation, and ethical judgment. High-touch matchmaking is mentally expensive. Pricing that ignores cognitive load leads directly to burnout. Level of difficulty and complexity. Difficulty increases with niche requirements, geographic constraints, privacy needs, urgency, and visibility. Difficulty is operational, not personal, and must be priced intentionally. Risk exposure. Every client introduces risk. Risk increases with higher fees, emotional vulnerability, unclear scope, weak boundaries, and insufficient documentation. Pricing should rise with risk only when infrastructure rises as well. The new matchmaker trap. There is a mistake that new matchmakers repeatedly make, and it is costly. New matchmakers underprice themselves by comparing with large matchmaking operations built for scale. What happens is large companies have teams, automation, systems, and the ability to handle volume. New matchmakers do not. Competing on price without scale infrastructure is not a strategic move. It is reckless. Lower pricing increases client volume, emotional demand, boundary pressure, and the risk of burnout. New matchmakers often spend more time with their clients, not less. They are more attentive, more cautious, and more invested in doing things correctly. Underpricing that level of care creates a mismatch that clients feel immediately. Low pricing does not attract easier clients. It attracts clients who expect more access with less structure. That accelerates exhaustion. Here's a very important distinction I want to make. Training versus tenure. Years in the industry do not automatically equal professional readiness. Some long-standing matchmakers rely on outdated practices, lack documentation, operate informally, and resist accountability. Meanwhile, some newly trained matchmakers operate with modern standards, clear processes, ethical boundaries, and strong documentation. Experience without evolution creates risk. Pricing should reflect readiness, not age. The goal is not to be the cheapest. The goal is to be appropriately priced for a high-touch, low-volume, well-structured service. Lower volume with stronger structure is safer than higher volume with weak systems. Many high-end matchmakers will tell you they experience far less day-to-day friction from premium clients than they did from lower fee clients earlier in their careers. That observation is often accurate. Higher paying clients are not inherently easier to work with. Reduced friction comes from pricing filtering behavior, professionalism increasing boundaries, and structure doing its job. Premium pricing filters out impulse buyers, comparison shoppers, and emotionally reactive clients. High-end clients typically understand professional services. They expect discretion, competence, and a clear process rather than constant emotional access. There is also an important factor that many people overlook. Most matchmakers charging premium fees today are not operating the way they did when they charged less. They have clearer boundaries, stronger documentation, and more confidence in saying no. So when matchmakers say they get less grief now, they are often comparing their current professionalism to their earlier stage operations, not just the price. Here is the critical distinction. Premium pricing reduces volume-related friction. It increases accountability-related risk. High-end clients may complain less often, but when they do, the scrutiny is sharper and the stakes are higher. Less noise doesn't mean less exposure. Across the industry, pricing ranges from a few $1,000s for low-scope services to 5 figures for mid-range engagements and to 6 figures for premium services. The number itself is not the issue. What matters is what supports the number. Higher pricing should correlate with deeper screening, stronger infrastructure, clearer documentation, tighter boundaries, and higher accountability. When price rises without structure, risk spikes. Most matchmakers were never taught how to build pricing from operations. Love Pro Mastermind Academy exists to close that gap. LPMA does not teach numbers, it teaches alignment. That includes pricing frameworks, operational maturity, client expectation management, ethical boundaries, and documentation discipline. LPMA is a done-with-you training for matchmakers who want longevity, not volatility. One of the most practical tools we teach inside the Love Pro Mastermind Academy is the 3-tier pricing framework. The 3-tier approach creates clarity, containment, and defensibility. Tier 1 is entry-level engagement. This tier is intentionally limited. It includes a clearly defined scope, restricted access, and firm boundaries. It carries lower risk exposure and lower expectation load. This tier filters curiosity-driven clients and protects the matchmaker from overextension. Tier 2, core engagement. This is where most professional matchmaking businesses should operate. The core tier includes defined milestones, structured communication, balanced access, and documented expectations. Pricing at this level supports sustainability rather than survival. Tier 3, premium or VIP engagement. Premium pricing signals responsibility and increased accountability. This tier requires the strongest intake, the most robust disclosure, the tightest boundaries, and the highest level of documentation. Higher fees at this level increase scrutiny and expectations, which means infrastructure must rise accordingly. 3 tiers help prevent overpromising, underpricing, and scope creep. They protect both the client and the business. Pricing only feels theoretical until expectations are challenged. When a client is unhappy, pauses the process, or asks for a refund, pricing stops being a number and becomes a liability or a safeguard. That's where compliance enters the conversation. Pricing disputes rarely begin with the price itself. They begin with confusion about what has been earned. That makes refunds and fee accrual a critical adjacent risk topic for professional matchmakers. One of the most effective ways to reduce refund disputes is through clear fee accrual. Fee accrual means that a client's payment is earned progressively as work is performed, access is granted, and services are delivered. The fee is not sitting untouched, it is being allocated based on documented activity. Because matchmaking fees are usually paid in full upfront, refund disputes hinge on whether the fee has been earned, not whether a client is disappointed. High-end services that use clear accrual practices and documentation handle refunds more effectively because they can show how value was delivered over time. That structure turns refunds into a rational discussion rather than a reactive one. Without accrual, the entire fee can appear refundable. If a client becomes dissatisfied, that ambiguity escalates disputes and increases chargeback risk. With accrual, the conversation changes. The question becomes what portion of the fee has already been earned based on documented work. This matters because refunds are rarely emotional alone. They are about clarity. Professional matchmakers who structure services in phases, define milestones, and document deliverables can handle refund conversations more calmly and fairly. Clear accrual practices protect clients by setting realistic expectations, and they protect matchmakers by reducing ambiguity. The IMC board exists to reinforce awareness around professional accountability, transparency, and alignment with modern standards. It does not dictate pricing or refund outcomes, but it emphasizes that pricing, refunds, and documentation must tell the same story. When accrual, documentation, and pricing align, disputes become easier to resolve and trust becomes easier to sustain. Before we move on from this episode, pause and ask yourself a few direct questions. Can you explain in writing how your fee is earned over time if a client asks tomorrow? Do your contracts and onboarding materials clearly explain what portion of the fee is earned through access, process, and activity rather than outcomes? If a client requested a refund today, could you calmly identify what has already been earned and why? Does your current pricing protect your judgment and boundaries, or does it pressure you to over-deliver to avoid conflict? Are your pricing, documentation, and refund language telling the same story? These questions are not theoretical. They are professional safeguards. Pricing is not what you charge. Pricing is what your business can defend calmly, clearly, and consistently. If a client questions your fee tomorrow, could you justify it in writing without stress? If not, pricing is ahead of operations. In the next episode, we will examine how contracts, language, and boundaries either reinforce pricing or quietly undermine it, because pricing alone does not protect you, alignment does.
If today's episode resonated, make sure you're subscribed to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes are released weekly and are designed to support professional matchmakers who want to operate with clarity, structure, and integrity. You can also join our monthly industry brief, On the Radar, for ongoing insight into what's changing behind the scenes in professional matchmaking. Until next time, stay grounded in your standards, intentional in your systems, and committed to doing this work at a higher level. I'm Arlene Washburn, and this is the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast.